Stoppage time. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Nick Boorman, you were dancing last time I was singing that. I'm Lawrence Presman, the Prez. You're watching Stoppage Time with Nick Boorman from Sports Memo and Carmine Bianco from Wagertalk.com. Honor and privilege to talk soccer with these boys. Hope everybody is well. Nick, I haven't seen you since rock, paper, scissors. What's up, my friend?
I lost horribly.
We're not supposed to tell anyone that.
I didn't.
Okay, nobody heard.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing well, man. I just got news. I'm in New Jersey. I just got news. The golf courses are going to open back up this weekend, so I'm excited. I got something to look forward to do besides sitting at home all damn day.
And what's your handicap?
I am a scratch.
So am I.
0. Scratch
my
what?
Balls. Are you really a scratch golfer?
Yeah. I was better. Right now, I'm around a 2, actually. I was scratching in college, but I don't play as much anymore.
And any aspirations at that time?
There was then, but I got into the golf business and started working at a golf course, and that took all my time. So it's an old rule of if you like golf, don't get in the golf business because then you stop playing, and that kind of happened.
Did you get a scholarship?
Yeah, I did. I was going to school down in Coastal Carolina.
Nice.
Yeah.
Carmine Bianco, did you get a scholarship to anything?
No.
Yeah, I knew that.
Unfortunately, I did not. I did play, as you know, tennis in university. And Prez, you actually might remember this guy because obviously he was Canadian, but I used to play against him in high school and in university. Andrew Schneider. You remember Andrew
I do,
Schneider?
and I'm sure he beat you.
Yeah, he did. He did. Each and every time. In high school, it was always the best players from each high school played against each other. I didn't actually think that was a smart thing to do. I would have rather played against
the worst players,
their second, third, or fourth, or fifth best players. But you played 2 singles matches and a doubles match in high school. And Western Tech, we had a pretty good team. But anyways, Nick, we're going to have a Wagertalk Sports Memo golf tournament, and I drew you into my bracket. You're on my team in my foursome.
I'm ready. Let me know when and where. I'll be there.
Yeah, I drew a friend of mine. He just doesn't work for Wagertalk, but he's allowed to play. We decided. His name is Mike Weir.
Mike Weir.
Yeah.
Masters champion.
Yeah, but the craziest thing is, Nick, you at a 2 might be able to beat him.
Yeah, well, he hasn't been on the professional level. Well, he's still professional, but he hasn't been on the circuit in a while. But I think he would still take me pretty easily.
Dude, I'm a terrible golfer, but I am really good with my 3-iron. It's literally the only club I use, my 3-iron and my putter.
That's impressive. 3-irons are hard
That's
to
what
hit.
everybody says, but it's always been the easiest club for me. Bianco.
Nick, I can imagine, honestly, it. I haven't played golf with Prez. Maybe one day we will, but I think his best club is probably the foot wedge.
No, I just pick it up and throw it. Johnny Detroit asks, what happened to Dolan? Kevin Dolan will be joining us next week on Stoppage Time, maybe on Friday, where he's waiting for a new camera, so bear with us. But yes, we are going to be rotating through on this show. We're going to have Nick, Carmine, and the Irishman, Kevin Dolan, going through and doing Stoppage Time. We're excited to have all of you guys here. Hello, Superman. David Tabadi, hello from Israel. It is our yes, Yom HaAtzmaut, my friend. We were just talking about it. Happy Independence Day in Israel. You know, Carm, I got to tell you before we get into soccer. So, Viv's just making noise. Viv, can you close my door, please? Thank you. So, Carm, my brother Darren calls me up and he says, so if you sell Wagertalk in the next 3-5 years and you make X amount of money, what will you give me? So I said, I'll take you to a restaurant for dinner. He's like, that doesn't sound good. I'm like, I'll take you anywhere in the world for that dinner. So he picked some cave in Iceland, that's some restaurant cave in Iceland. Then he asked me, where would you go? And I said, man, I just take a shawarma on the streets of Tel Aviv. There is simply no other place I would rather be. Every day, every night. That is the finest freaking country. Oh my God. The history is unbelievable. And the thing about it is, it's a financial mecca. It's, extremely technologically savvy. This is like literally living in a place where you are walking down the street and on the left side is a modern building put up 3 weeks ago, and on the right side is a wall that Jesus touched. It's unbelievable.
And I'm not big for most of the time street food, but a place like Israel, there are a few countries where I would, because the pride that people put into their food, it's going to be just absolutely kick-ass.
Yeah, dude, you're right. And the markets there are ridiculous. Nick, if you ever get a chance, Carmine, it's not about being Jewish. This is the homeland to a lot of different religions, and everybody is welcome. It is an absolutely incredible place to be. David, I am jealous, my friend. Happy Yom Ha'atzmaut. Let's get into it. Carmine and Nick, we talk soccer, and I want to start with you, Nick, right off the bat. You got a free winner, free pick, free thoughts on Belarus soccer this weekend?
Yes. Luckily, we got the winner last week, Slutsk. Remember
old Slutskaroonie.
They came through and got the win for us last weekend. Got another one going this weekend on Saturday. You got Gorodeya at Rook Brest. Rook Brest is a promoted team. They league below this top league last year. And they actually look pretty solid so far this season. Of the 3 teams that are promoted, the other 2 are really struggling. But they seem to be doing pretty well. They're really playing strong defensively. They're only allowing a league low 3.2 shots on goal, which is very strong. And they look like they belong in this league. They're getting 4.8 shots on goal themselves, while Gorodeya is only averaging 2 shots on goal, which is ridiculously low. The league average is 4.7. So you can see that Rook Brest is right at that league average, just above it, but Gorodeya is really struggling offensively. So the other thing going in our favor here is Rook Brest, even though they're getting good numbers up, they're not scoring yet. So they actually have the lowest conversion rate in the league. So all that's saying is that they're getting the shots up, they're getting the presses going like they need to, but they're still not converting. Yet they're still having decent results because of how good their defense is. Normally those anomalies, they work themselves out over the course of the year, and they play more towards league averages by the time you get to the end of the season. So if you see a team, what I like to do early in the year is you look for teams that are either converting way more than they should or way less than they should, and you start to look to play against those because those will correct themselves. And this is a good situation here. So I like Rook Brest. They're at home. All the numbers are pointing at them, and they're favorable right now. It's even money to take them to win on the 3-way line right now. So I'm going Rook Brest Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern in Belarus.
Thank you, my friend. And Nick, David Chan just pointed out that your 5% are cashed today. Absolute blowout. You want to talk about that quickly?
Yeah, that was the Belarusian Cup. So it was a semifinal match, second leg. Brest was up 2-0 after the first leg, so I was looking at the over in this play, just kind of based a lot on the situation of you got a team down 0-2 going home, needing to score goals, going to have to play wide open, and it did. Brest actually went up 2-0 at halftime, so they were up 4-0 on the aggregate, and in a span of about 15 minutes, Shakhtar, the home team, scored 4 goals, so they actually tied it up 4-4 on the aggregate. Yeah, so, and then the last 20 minutes played out with no more goals. So in soccer, these 2-legged matches are usually decided on away goals. So Brest actually moved on. Even though they finished both with 4 goals, Brest scored 2 on the road. Yeah. So their 4 goals outweighed the 4 goals of Shakhtar, who scored all of those at home. So it ended up being a shootout, as I thought it might. and it was over 2.25. So yeah, it was an easy cash, and glad that anybody that was listening out there that followed was able to join me and cash that ticket this morning.
Nicely done.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Nicely done, Nick. And just by the way, Nick, I know that I'm the soccer expert. It's actually 4-0.
4-0 is correct.
There's no O or 0 in soccer. It's 4-0.
You're absolutely right.
Carmine Bianco. Let's talk about Nicaragua. We've got the back of the two legs coming up. Fill us in, my friend.
Yeah. We talked on last week's show, on Friday's show, about the fact that the totals in both those games were at 2, and they were shaded a little bit to the over in both of them. I think they were probably about anywhere from -120 to -130 on the twos. And what we saw is one goal in both games combined. Real Esteli got the goal, and oddly enough, they got the goal after they got a red card and went down a man.
Yeah.
So a 1-0 there. The other game finished scoreless. I got to watch both the games, and there wasn't much to it. There weren't really a lot of opportunities for goals. Sometimes you watch these games and you think, oh, they look like there's some, it was a little unlucky. These could have gone over. I don't think there was any chance either game was ever going to get to 2 or over it, even the one that was at 1-0. These games, 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock tonight. I think we both have cards up on this. I have a couple plays, but the lines haven't been very volatile. Managua started at -150, went to 175. Real Esteli started at about 188 and are at 223 right now. I'm still looking at unders here. They're both at 2s again, and I'm looking at both games to stay under the total. I don't think you're going to see many goals scored in that Esteli game to start off, even though they're 1-0, and you figure Dirigen will have to push forward and try and get one to equalize, because even if they do and they're able to, it's one of those things where it could likely be 1-0 and go to extra time, which does not count towards the total. The Managua and Ferrari one, Ferrari would be perfectly happy trying to get this at 0-0 into extra time and penalty kicks to try and advance to that final. Managua gets the early lead, which and I do think they'll win at home. They're so well defensively, this team, that they can just sit on that 1-goal lead. So this is one of those ones where the totals are 2 and they should be exactly where they are.
He's Carmine Bianco. You can find him at wagertalk.com. Nick, I'm going to go to you next in regards to the Nicaraguan Soccer League. But first, a couple of things. First, I want to thank everybody for joining us like always. Hey, Matt, nice to see you. David Chen, nice to see you, my friend. David Chen is jonesing for a lamb shawarma or falafel right now. David, after this show, I'm literally heading to get a chicken shawarma with extra harif. So I will think of you. I don't do the lamb shawarmas. I prefer chicken shawarmas. But I've got Carm. I mean, you live right by where I live. What do we have? 20 shawarma places in a walking distance?
Yeah. There's a ton, and it's a surprise because, as Prez will tell you, I'm in sort of Markham, Ontario, and it's a higher Asian community where I live. So to see so many shawarma places, it's unbelievable. And there's some kick-ass ones. Prez took me to one before him and Viv took off for a ski trip in Switzerland or something in December. And this shawarma the guy made me was the size of a football. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah. Golden Pocket Pita is what it's called. It's a terrible name. It's grammatically incorrect. Don't understand it. Nick, let's talk about your thoughts on the Nicaraguan Soccer League and the 2 games that are left to get us to the finals.
Totals, Carm hit it on the head here. I think had we have seen any more action, or of course any more goals either way in those first games, we might have seen a total posted higher here. Usually these leg 2s, you you do expect to see higher totals. But with the situations they are, one of the games 0-0, Managua and Freddie, and then Esteli leading 1-0 going back home, these totals make sense. A lot of the times when you have a home team going back home trailing is where you can see a lot of excitement throughout the game. So we don't have either of those situations going on tonight. So the totals at 2 are tough. Managua, as Carm said, is really, really good defensively. They've won a ton of games at home, keeping clean sheets or giving up no more than 1 goal. So they're tough to score on, and I think they will probably pull through, as Carm mentioned, as well. If they get an early lead or a lead at any point, I think they're just going to sit back, they're going to play defense, and they're going to see the rest of that one out. I don't think Freddie's going to get a lot of chances. Their best hope, in my opinion, for Freddie was to get something at home, which they played well, but they couldn't get really any good chances. So that first game, the total's tough on both of these, but I kind of like the under, at least in the Managua game, and I like the home side there. Esteli, they now have a 1-goal lead, as Carm mentioned. They won 1-0 after receiving a red card, so it was tied 0-0. It was like the 68th or somewhere around there minute they received red. They scored 8 minutes after that, so I was kind of scratching my head. I saw the red card come out. I was like, this is definitely going to finish 0-0 now, or maybe Dirian Gen was going to win at home, which I know, Carm, you had a play on them at home to do so.
It was it was a nice goal, by the way. It was cracker of a goal.
Yeah, it certainly was. And so now as they go home leading 1-0, the only danger for them really is, obviously if they give up the goal's weighted evenly now, so they both would have scored on the road. But if they can get 1 goal early, 2-0 lead, they're going to sit back, they're going to protect. I think it could turn into a park the bus type of a situation for them. Of course, if Diriangen scores first, then both teams, the next goal could very possibly win, and they both could look to try to push and forward and get that. I don't know if necessarily either one of those teams wants to get towards extra time or penalties. So I'm a little more hesitant on the total there. I'm actually looking to possibly live bet that one. If we see Diriangen score first, I think I like the over in that one. And if it goes halfway through the first half or closer to halftime with no goals, I'm probably just going to lay away. But I'm looking for an early goal by Dirian Gen, and then I'm going to look to take the over in that, assuming it's nothing crazy. And at home, I'm looking at Pinnacle right now, and Esteli just moved to -1 now at Pinnacle on the goal line. So value there is pretty low. Again, if they take a 1-goal lead, they really have no need to press for anymore. So laying a goal is kind of tough to do. And what their current price is around 200, I believe you said, Carm, on the 3-way line. Yeah, so that's pretty high to take them to win outright. The -0.75 number, if you can get that around -130, maybe the way to play this one is, before the game starts. But the fact that there's just not a ton of value, I don't see a lot anymore in this one. Both of these games were priced lower for the home sides yesterday and have moved towards the home side so far today. Nothing crazy, but enough to kind of just hesitate a little bit more and go, you know what, I'm not sure there's a ton here. So unfortunately, and not a lot on these two games just because I think the lines are where they need to be. But I like a live bet possibility on Esteli going over the total. And at home, I think Managua should be able to win that game before it reaches extra time. And one note I will say is anybody that does bet these games, remember this is the second leg. If the game happens to go to extra time or penalties, your bet is only going to include those first 90 minutes in stoppage time unless you take a team to advance is what the team would be called. So just pay attention to that and know that if you take, let's say, an over and the game ends 1-0 for Dirian Gen and they go to extra time and then 2 more goals come later, that over still lost. So keep that in mind as you look at these games. It's only 90 minutes plus stoppage time for the regular bets.
Guys, we're going to talk about France canceling their season, how it affects Championship League. Before we do that, let me tell everyone the schedule for the rest of the week. It's Wednesday today, April 29th, my father's 76th birthday, so happy birthday, Dad. Shout out to you. Love you a ton. I went blank. Okay, yes, 3 p.m. Eastern. We've got Minty Kelly and Gianni on Straight from the Strip. Check that out. It's a live show. It's one of our most listened to shows every week. It's a fun show to watch, about an hour long. Tomorrow, Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern, we have Minty, Kyle Anthony, and Kevin Dolan talk UFC. Then 3 p.m. Thursday, we've got Teddy and Minty with Betting 101. Friday, 1 p.m., we're going to do Stoppage Time, where we're going to talk about the Nicaraguan Soccer League again, or we'll come up with some other topics. And then
the finals.
Sorry, Carm?
It's the finals. It'll be the finals on the weekend.
Yeah, I know. And then on to Carm, I live, eat, and sleep soccer, bro. I even corrected Nick when he said it was 4-0.
I love you, brother. You're great.
Thanks, dude.
You're awesome.
And then, of course, the Pony Pundits on Friday at 3 p.m. with Marco and Sig. So make sure to check us out. Guys, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell so you know when the live shows are coming up. Carm, before we get into what's going on around the world, I started watching Man in the High Castle about 4 days ago. I got through the first 2 episodes. Incredibly intriguing show. A very interesting concept, but likely too slow for me. Have you watched any of it?
Really? No. You see, I was actually going to start it this weekend. I thought about starting it today, but then I wouldn't watch it tomorrow because tomorrow's my anniversary with the wife, and I'm not going to be watching Netflix. No. So I was planning on starting on Saturday. Everyone has a lot of our mutual friends have high reviews for it.
Listen, it is a very, very interesting concept. The sets are great. The costumes, the time period's phenomenal. They've done a hell of a job. It must have cost them a fortune to make that show. But Fauda came out, so after the second episode of Men in the High Castle, I'm like, Fauda time. Viv and I are on episode 4. We binged till, 3:15 in the morning last night. The season 3 of Fauda looks absolutely spectacular. And after that, it's going to be The Last Kingdom season 4. That's one of my favorite shows of all time, Ultrid. So that's my TV schedule. Nick, what are you doing?
I'm golfing, man. I got no time for TV this weekend.
Well, on that note, do you bet golf?
Yes, of course.
And are you good at betting golf?
Prez, you got to go to my page, man. I can't tell you everything on it. You got to go to the page. I was killing it before the season stopped, and I'm so disappointed it stopped because golf is one of those sports where you bet and you play it based on grooves that you're in. So now that it's going to be on a 6-week hiatus, they're coming back in June, by the way. Now that it's on a 6-week hiatus, it's going to be kind of tough to get back into it right away because I have no read on how these players are. I mean, guys tend to keep, the same groove going, whether it's good or bad, for a couple weeks in a row before they can fix themselves. So it's going to be a little slow, I think, for me to start as we come back. But beforehand, I was so disappointed to see it stop because I was really seeing the golf course well, I guess you could say, in the betting market, and we were making a lot of money. So
you sell your golf picks at Sports Memo?
Yes, sir.
And one of the owners of the company, me, didn't even know that. Carmine, let's get into what's happening in France. Fill us in, brother.
Yeah, well, we'll start with the fact that UEFA gave all leagues in Europe a mandate of deciding by the 25th of May what they're going to do as far as their seasons. The first one, we already know what Germany's doing. Germany plans on coming back. They're supposed to be on pace to restart on the 30th, which is tomorrow. The German government will make an announcement, but if everything goes well, the German season should restart on the 16th of May. So, which is great. We'll see some soccer in a couple of weeks. France, League 1 and League 2 have canceled their seasons. There's a lot of discussion going on now. They're not coming back for sure. That's a given. There's 3 ways to decide who are going to get the Champions League spots. The current standings, which would be PSG, Marseille. The last completed round, which was round 27, which is still PSG and Marseille. This is going to be repetitive. Or we go to the halfway point of the season, the 18-game mark, and it's still PSG and Marseille. There's $15 million to the teams that qualify for the Champions League. Rennes is in through that playoff to try and get into the Champions League. Teams are squawking, one being Lyon. Lyon want the France to use last year's standings for next year's Champions League because they were second in the standings. It's not going to happen. I doubt it. They'll come to some kind of agreement. Spain, their government has started a 4-phase to bring them out of the 4-step phase to bring them out of the lockdown. The first step is actually called the 0 phase, and teams are going to return to training, individual training, May 4th to May 11th. That's the 0 phase, the first week. Italy is still on pace for May 27th to June 2nd. I think it's an absolute disaster if they do. They're not ready to come back and play, but they have started individual training. The EPL, which we're most, which we all want to know about, some grounds have started training. They have a meeting scheduled on Friday. Arsenal, Bournemouth, West Ham, Crystal Palace. Those teams have started or have a plan to open up their grounds and have individual training. No more than a couple of players on the field at any time. I'm going to throw in a shameless plug here, Prez. You don't have to do it. West Ham, for the longest time, my friend had a deal. You're one of those guys who invests. He runs this zero-sum coffee company that he started, and he had a deal going with West Ham until this whole COVID thing expired. And zero coffees, little pods, you drop them in, everything disappears, and it's just coffee, which is great. They have in EPL a project, and it's called Stirs. They have in the EPL Project Restart, June the 8th. That's what they're aiming for. I don't know if they can do it, but the main thing here is there is $1 billion, Prez, and you know that $1 billion in TV money that these teams will lose out on if they cancel the season. It affects every team, top to bottom, even the Manchester Cities and the Liverpools and the Man Uniteds, who are worth just hundreds of millions of dollars. If this season goes to waste, there are teams that are not going to fold, but they're going to go bankrupt. It's just going to happen, the lower ones. So let's hope Project Restart comes to fruition June the 8th. But I can tell you right now, players do not want to come back and play unless they're given 100% safety measures in place to protect them.
Nick, anything to add on Carm's incredibly detailed World Soccer report?
Well, he mentioned France as they're canceled this year, and how they're trying to determine who's going to get the Champions League spots next year. But it brings up a good point of the competition this year, assuming the other leagues go forward and they continue, and the Champions League can finish after these domestic leagues finishes. Where does that leave Lyon and Paris Saint-Germain, who are both in the Champions League? And PSG came out and said that they'll play. They already advanced to the quarterfinals, and they'll play all of their matches away because they can no longer play at home. I haven't heard yet from Lyon yet, Carm. I'm not sure if you have, of what they are. They actually, their situation is they lead 1-0. They played at home. They lead 1-0 over Juventus. Yep. So that game's going back to Italy anyway for the second leg. So it may be mute depending on what happens after that. But it'll be interesting to see if somehow they advance, what their decision will be. But it does throw a wrinkle, certainly. Another one, I guess you could say, into the Champions League being trying to finish out this year. So PSG on the road. So whoever they're drawn against for that next round will certainly have a nice advantage facing them twice at home. Or I guess they may choose a neutral field.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, they're going to have to both PSG, who are into the quarterfinals, and it's like the first time in 4 years of trying that they've made it into the quarterfinals, and Lyon, they're going to have to play outside of France. They're going to have to find a place where they can play these, and I'm not entirely sure where they can play them. They don't want to. PSG is not going to want to play 2 road games, but unfortunately, this is what they're going to have to do. Yep. Regardless of who
just
they play.
Take all the soccer players, move them to the Antarctica, and let them finish the season.
It's a tough thing, but the way the Champions League is set up, the idea is this: they're going to let all the leagues finish their leagues because they're going to have to basically play 2 games per week in order to finish out their seasons. And then in August, the way it's set up, the 7th and 8th will be games for the final games for the round of 16th. The 11th and 12th will be the first leg of the quarterfinals. The return legs on the 14th and 15th. The 18th and 19th, first leg of the semifinals. And the 21st and 22nd, the second leg. And then the finals on the 29th. Essentially, they're going to fit every Champions League game within a 3-week period to finish off this championship. And that shows you how much TV money rules this sport. It does.
Well, as it should, Carm. I mean, that's where they get paid. That's, obviously the attendance is a big thing, but, speaking from looking at what's going on in North America, the TV contracts rule the roost. Nick, can you talk golf? Not now, but let's put together some preview shows as we get into the golf season.
Absolutely, man. I can't wait to see the Masters being played in November this year. It's going to be really, really weird.
It's going to be windy.
Very true. Very true.
Amen Corner might be even more exciting to watch.
It's either way. I'll definitely. It's they rearranged their whole schedule this year to finish and not compete with the NFL. But there goes that. But I'll tell you what. I don't care what's going on in the NFL. I'll be tuning into Masters Sunday. That's for sure.
Well, he's Nick Boorman. I'm the Prez. Carmine Bianco with us. That, my friends, is Stoppage Time. We are done. Make sure to come back in an hour and a half, 3 p.m. Eastern, to listen to Gianni, Minty, and Kelly. It's straight from the Strip. There's lots to talk about. They're slowly opening Las Vegas, so things are getting better. Let's hope that continues. Guys, a real pleasure doing the show with you. We'll see you both, or maybe one of you, on Friday. I'll let you guys know. Nick, Carm, be safe, be well. And remember, stoppage time. Carm, when are you going to sing?
I'm not very good at singing.
And me?
No. You're much better than I am.
Oh, that's just a total load.
And you're not that good. So what does that tell you? I'm terrible.
Okay. Later, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Stoppage Time. We'll see you Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern.